Thank you for joining me today, Aniola, on this last minute interview. But we have finished the first week of 30 days of loving myself. Love Thyself.
Love Thyself.
And this week for me, just to give an introduction, has been one of those weeks where I'm stoked, but at the same time, I'm surprised at how challenging just doing these small activities with so much intention has been for me.
Right.
And it's just been like every day I am posting in real time what I'm doing. So every day I actually did that activity that day, edited, and then posted onto my page. So there's a lot of dedication in this, but at the same time, I'm just like, ooh, I remember what this feels like. Like, oh, okay, this feels good.
Right.
Oh, okay, going into this motion, why do I feel such a way? You know what I'm saying? So like today was to cook for myself.
I love that for you.
I love it for me too. And it really brought me back to my 20s when I first got divorced in my first marriage. But we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah.
I digress. We'll talk about that another day. But the motion and the things that I did and moved with so much intention during that time period. And one of them was cooking for myself. And what I found was in that time period was that I would make myself like ramen noodles, some tuna, but I would eat it out of a plastic bowl and, you know, not put any care into it. But then when my friends would come over, I'd take out the good china, I would take out the wine glasses, and I would serve them up and be like, yes, we're going to do the thing. But I wasn't doing the thing for me.
And that's crazy how we treat people around us good, but we don't really do those very things for ourselves.
Exactly.
So you doing that is like beautiful.
Chef's kiss. No pun intended. And so moving with the intention of the same way that I can serve my friends and the same way I can serve my family is the same way I need to serve myself.
Yes.
And in this whole journey, even though we're 7 days in, the point of it is to do for yourself first.
Right.
You know? So I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
Yes. Hopefully, you know, they resonate with you. But yeah, I'm excited.
I'm excited for these questions.
All right. Okay. So, Aniola, your podcast, You Are Heard, focuses on giving people a voice.
Right.
In your own personal journey, self-love journey, how do you create space for your own voice to be heard? And what role does listening to yourself play in your self-care practice?
Ooh, well, the whole reason why I decided to create You Are Heard was because there was a moment in my life where I felt like my voice didn't matter. I felt like I was silenced, and, you know, I can't speak for everyone else, but I know for me, it was really trauma related for me. As a kid, I went through certain traumas, and when I decided to have a voice and speak up, I was shunned for speaking up. And that was the first moment where I felt like my voice was taken away from me. And now fast forward into like my adulthood, with the experiences that I've experienced through life, I decided to get my voice back. I was heavy on working on my throat chakra. Like I was very intentional about that. And in the midst of me finding my voice, doing certain things to find my voice, I wanted to create an avenue where other people could be heard and they have a platform where their voice matters. And I want them to talk about it so that when other people listen to it, they'll be inspired and decide to move within purpose. So that's the main reason why I did it, because someone tried to take my voice, and now that I have my voice back, I want others to know that they can have their voice and they can use it and they can let the world know who they are.
I love that. Let me tell you this. I think growing up Haitian or Haitian American, one of the things that I experienced myself is that, and I saw that across the board from my friends as well, is that the child has no voice, and that whatever your parents say is law. And it was almost like, I think it hurt our culture.
It did.
You know, as a kid, they'd be like, "Don't look at me in my eyes." Like, what? You know, and it was a sign of disrespect. And not to say other cultures don't have their own issues, but I feel like for us as growing up Haitian, those were things that broke us down as human beings.
It did. And it really messed with my self-confidence too, because it made me feel like I had to be a certain way. Like I couldn't really necessarily speak my truth. I have to be how you want me to be instead of me being authentically myself. And trust me, as you get older, there's gonna come a point in your life where you realize, and I had to have that aha moment where I realized when I was working in corrections for 7 years, laying in bed, realizing that this is not the life that I want. I don't feel like I'm me. Nothing about this feels right. And just stepping into the person that I know I am and just owning that voice, like taking it back because I knew it was taken away from me. And a lot of times our Haitian parents, I love them because they did the best that they could do, but they really mastered the art of making us not have a voice. Like it's their way or no way. And I understand that they did it out of protection, but I also feel like it's important, especially with the new generation that's coming up, to understand that yes, my thoughts are important, but the generation that's coming up, their thoughts are important. These are human beings having a human experience, actual spirits having a human experience, and we're meant to learn from each other. And we can't learn from each other if we're silencing each other.
Well, let me tell you something. One of the spaces that I've learned a lot from was from my kids. I will tell you, there were some principles that I was bringing into my own home and raising my kids where it came to their voice, where I did allow them space to speak their mind. And I would tell them, you have a voice in this house. So I need you to speak up. I need you to tell me how you feel. However, putting that into practice is another thing, right? Because I found that with my son, who's my eldest, like it was challenging because I felt like certain things that he would do would be disrespectful. And it was because of the way I was raised. And having to remove that out of my body, out of my thoughts, out of my foundation, that no, he's just expressing himself, took me a very long time to do that, because I was just like, what? Why are you talking? Like, why are you talking back?
Because when you think about it, that's what because parents, when they have kids, I don't have no kids, but I'm just assuming based on mothers, like people that I've been around that have kids, it's a first time experience for parents. The same way, like it's a first time experience for the baby. Like, I'm just coming here. And we're just relearning certain things. And like, I guess when a child comes around, to me, I felt like kids are able to tell you about yourself, not in a disrespectful manner, but because they've been around you so long, they're able to know a version of you that you cannot really hide. Like for me, there's versions of my father that he still doesn't see about himself. Daddy, I love you, this is not but there's versions of him that I realize that he's not yet willing to accept about himself.
That part.
Because he hasn't really necessarily done the inner work. But where for you, like there were the things that you changed in yourself. The reason why you were able to change those things was because you were actually doing the inner work. There was a moment where you had to be honest with yourself and say, well, how would I feel if I was him again?
And then even giving him space to be like, yes, this is his first time on earth, this is his first time as a human being, this is his first experience, and giving him room to kind of explore that. And it's like, one of the things you brought up is people have such a challenge doing self-reflection, have a hard time looking at themselves in the mirror and admitting like, damn, I fucked up, like I can't believe I did that, you know. And I'm grateful that my kids have given me grace to be their parent, right? Where I've been able to speak to them and, you know, apologize, which will never happen in a Haitian house. Like, if your Haitian parent apologizes to you, bro, like,
I'm still waiting from apologies to this day. Like, I've learned to, like, I've accepted the fact that it takes a lot to admit that you were wrong, or maybe the best decision wasn't made. But I think it's just a matter of having that discussion for me, as an adult, just saying, letting them know, like, I know that you're human.
Yeah, it's okay that you made a mistake.
And I'm past that.
Yeah.
I just want you to get past it too. That's where I'm at with my relationship with my parents. It's like, I'm at this place where I know you're not perfect.
Yeah.
So let's get past it, because I don't want you to hold on to this ideology that you have to be perfect. Because I'm not looking at you as a perfect individual. I'm looking at you like, you're a human the same way like I'm a human, and I'm having a human experience, and you're having a human experience, and you did the best with what you knew.
Exactly. And I think that this is where I give my parents grace, right? Coming to a country, you don't have the language, you don't have the finances, you necessarily don't have a lot of support,
right?
And navigating through that, and navigating through that with kids. And it's like
in a whole nother country.
And I think that there's limitations to how far that they're willing to go.
Right.
And it's like, I'm holding on to the culture. I'm holding on to who I am in this space that doesn't allow me space to have an identity. But moving forward, when we talk about our kids and our generation, the way that we build them, because I feel that we've struggled, our generation, first generation Haitians, struggle with confidence. And that confidence is what allows us to make those bold moves, to make those, comments and things, and stand up in a way that is something that is so innate in our bodies and our DNA because of who we are.
Right.
So it's like, I give space to my kids to communicate. They may not like my response,
and that's okay, because like, I had to learn that too. I had to learn that there may be things that I say that may be very uncomfortable, but that doesn't mean I don't say it because I feel like it's going to be uncomfortable for you. When it's suffocating me because I'm keeping it inside, there's a way that I can say it. My intentions are not to hurt you. I want us to grow from it. But I think what's important too is to feel like my voice matters and I can say something. And a lot of times people are scared to express themselves because they may feel like it's going to ruffle feathers. People are going to dislike me for it. I mean,
our parents are dramatic. Like,
very.
Listen, the way that they hold grudges is not even funny, or the way that their feelings get hurt, ultra sensitive. But I give them grace in the thought of, like, I see you, and I don't know how I would have been or how I would have existed in this space the way that you did with the challenges that you had. So it's like giving grace. And I think too, when we don't speak up, it's also a disservice, because how you walking around here acting like that, that's not okay.
It's not okay. And I should be able to express that. I should be able to express that it's not okay. I don't like the way that it made me feel. Let's talk about it so we can find a better approach to it. Now, some people, they ain't finna change. They don't feel like they need to change, and it is what it is. But then it's up to me as the person to say if I'm gonna continue on with this abuse or not.
Exactly.
Because then it can get to a point where it's a mental abuse, and you have to make a decision within yourself. Where do I set my boundaries? And that could be with parents, that could be with
anybody.
Friends, that could be with coworkers. We're talking about parents because that's the household we grew up in. But a lot of times when you want people to respect you, respect what you have to say, but if they don't, this is where you put your boundaries. And I used to have a hard time with setting boundaries.
I always looked at it like, if I don't say something to you, how are you going to know that you crossed my boundary?
Right.
If I allow you to continue to do the same thing, you're not going to see anything wrong with it because I didn't tell you something was wrong with it. So when we hold back, when we don't speak up for ourselves, right, we're giving people permission to continue to do the things. And then I give you the benefit of the doubt. You don't know any better because you don't know me like that.
Right.
And then what I need to do in turn is to communicate it before it gets to a point where I'm triggered or where I overreact,
right?
Because that happens a lot, where I overreact, or I communicate like, hey, you did something and I didn't like it, made me very uncomfortable. And finding those words to say that also takes courage.
It does.
Because on the other end of that, the person does not necessarily have to receive it.
Right.
And then now the ball is in your court and how you choose to
that
move
part.
forward.
That part. And I don't think people really understand how much power they have. And I think for me, going back to the you are heard, I want to, because once you speak up, once you say your piece, once you realize that you're heard and you put it out there, the ball is in your court. Whatever reaction that you may get, you have full control of how you're going to move forward. It's like the choice is in your hand, how you want to move forward. If the person receives it, if they don't, but now you have control. And a lot of people don't realize how much control they have over their lives just by speaking up.
Yeah, when we don't speak up, what happens? We close our throat chakra, right? And then it kind of goes into different areas in our lives where we can't speak up. So we have to continue to activate and keep it activated,
right?
To speak our minds, because it's important. Now, let me ask you this. You spoke to some incredible individuals on your podcast.
Yes.
Has there been a conversation that helped you realize something on your own self-love or healing process? And can you share that?
Pause. I've had so many amazing guests on the podcast, and it's kind of like really hard to pinpoint because I feel like I learned so much through all of them. I've learned so much through the episode we had. I learned a lot with Blaze. There was one of the last episodes that I did. For me, what I learned from it was that I'm in the right space at the right time. Like, there's no confusion because, I'm one of those people that believe in all belief systems. Like, I feel like all of it is here for a reason, right? And this podcast in particular was with Felton, and he likes to bring up a lot of scriptures. And he was telling me, like, he had mentioned some part in the Bible in Revelation, how he was saying we learn from our testimonies. That's how we overcome. That's how we win the fight, through the testimonies. And when we think of testimonies, it's really about us speaking up and people talking about how they overcame situations. That's what allow us to be strong. And that sat with me because it just made me feel like, okay, this is exactly what I'm doing. I want to create a space where people are heard and they can talk about how they overcame certain things, whatever projects that they're working on, how they got to the point of where they are in their life. And just remembering that you win through your testimony. Not giving up, because your testimony is what matters. Your voice is what matters. Another advice that I like is being in the garden and just letting it free and being one with nature.
Yes.
Like, just appreciating what creation, the universe, what God has created for all of us, and just centering ourselves. That's so important. And then Blaze mentioning how he is here to do a mission. Like, waking up in the morning knowing that you have a purpose and not being scared no matter how crazy people may think you are, knowing that you have a purpose and knowing that you're not a mistake.
I agree with that. And for me, it's so interesting because I always had this saying, like, I know that through my healing, others are going to heal. People see me. And it's not me being boastful or anything like that. Just people see me.
Right.
And it's like, this energy that I carry is real. Like, this is who I am. But on the flip side of that, I also have major struggles. We talked about this earlier. And with my major struggles, like, sometimes, I'll have to pause and be like, dang, I done been through some shit. And then on the other side, I'll be like, but bruh, you know how blessed I am? Like the blessings that come through, and that's what I focus on. Like what blessings I received in the process. Like, yes, I was drowning, but somebody threw me a raft.
Right.
Somebody gave me a hand. Some random person gave me the advice that I needed. Somebody said, hey Fab, I was thinking about you, and it came at the right time.
Right.
You know, and when I do receive those blessings, I don't hold on to it for myself. I share it.
Right.
And that's always been me. I'll tell you a story. So I went to Catholic school. And in Catholic school, we didn't have free lunch. So my mom had to give me $5 every day to eat lunch. On top of paying for school. And this one day, she forgot to give me money for lunch. And I forgot to ask. So we would go to service. We would go to prayer service and go into the church to go and eat. I mean, to go and pray. And that whole time I was in church, I was praying. I was like, God, I don't know how I'm going to eat. This is me, middle school me, okay, really legit praying in the church. And I was like, God, I'm hungry already. And I know it's early. I don't know how I'm going to eat. But I know you're a God that's going to be giving. Please make it happen. Make somebody give me some money. Make something happen because I'm hungry. And literally everybody had gone up. And I was the last person to go up to go get the bread, right? The body of Christ. And right in the pew, right? The first pew, there was a $5 bill. There was a whole $5 bill.
What they like to say in church, won't he do it?
Won't he do it? Listen, I picked up my $5. I went up, I took the body of Christ. And I was like, whoa, that prayer was answered so quickly.
Yes.
And then I thought about, dang, the person who dropped that $5 probably was looking for that $5, didn't know that that $5 was meant to bless somebody else.
That part.
So now when I went to lunch, I bought my food and I bought food for somebody else as well. We both ate. I was like, yeah, I got $5. You want to eat with me? And I feel like that's the intention and energy that I always move with. If I receive a blessing, know that I'm going to bless somebody else with it. It is not just for me.
And you know, that's good because you're not operating far too often. Like people, they operate in a space of lack. Like when they have, like, I don't know how long I'm going to have this. Like, no, if I have it, I'm going to spend it and I'm going to share it.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm going to have it later on. I know it's going to... There's more. And so many people operate from a space of lack where they hold on to stuff so much that stuff you holding on to is all you gonna have.
Yeah.
You're not leaving any opportunity to be blessed with more.
Or better.
Or better.
And, you know, I think too, like, as I'm going through the motions of doing the activities, like, I came up with the idea. Let me tell you how I got the idea to do this. I have had an intense few months. I've had surgery. I've had complications with my health. I've had financial issues. I've had relationship issues. I just had issues all across the board. And I'm just like, universe, how much testing can I take? And it got to the point where it was like, I can become depressed again. And I felt that. And I was like, I don't want to focus on the negative that's happening to me. But I feel like I'm also playing a role in what's happening to me. And I don't know where it's coming from. And I'm like, is it, how do I say this? So in this relationship that didn't work the way that I expected it to work, one of the questions I asked, what about me loves to love people that have a challenge loving me? And it was just like, can you love me freely? Can you love me without having issues or restrictions? Can you love me without being fearful of my magic? Can you love me without being jealous? Can you love me without being controlling? And it was like, I had to take a step back and go inward and say, what about me is giving the energy for these things to happen, right? And it was like, well, how do you love yourself?
Right.
And that's where that question came about. How does Fabi love Fabi? And that question kept playing in my head, like, Fabi, how does Fabi love Fabi? And Fabi doesn't know how Fabi loves Fabi. Or Fabi didn't remember how Fabi loves Fabi. Or Fabi didn't realize how Fabi loves Fabi. And this is why I'm moving with the intention of doing it one single activity, one a day, actively doing it and showing you the results.
I love that. I love that because I also feel like the more that you do that, because all of those things, as far as like, it felt like these are like restrictions. Like, why can't you love me freely? Why does it have to, like, just love me, just being me? And, you know, I love that you took the approach of, you know what? I'm going to check me first. I'm going to love me first. But I also want to say that, that love do exist, because a lot of times when we ask ourselves like, why can't you do this, or why can't you do that, why can't you do this, we have to truly ask ourselves, do we believe that exists?
Oh, I do believe
okay,
it. I do believe that it exists, because if I can feel it,
Mm-hmm.
then it does. If I say it and I will it, then it does. And I feel like that right person, yes, I've been married twice, but I got married when I was 21. We know that we talk about alignment and all that stuff, right? But I feel like I was too young and I did not use my voice to speak up. I'm going to be honest. I was not that girl that was trying to get married. I was not that girl trying to have kids. I was that girl that was traveling. I had several boyfriends at one time.
You did it because you felt like it was right at the time.
I felt like, I guess, and that was my approach when I got proposed to. I was like, okay, I like him, I guess. And that is not the energy that you need to move with when it comes to marriage. So that marriage lasted 5 years.
That's actually similar to me. I wouldn't say it was because I was young. For me at the time, it was like, because I was going to this church and there was this pressure in getting married. And the person that I was with at the time, we knew we didn't want to marry so early, but because there was so much pressure, we did it because we wanted to get people off our backs. But then when you think about it, it's like, that was the wrong reason to do it anyways. And year 5,
5 years, I was like, I'm out. Like, this is for the birds. And after that marriage, I was very adamant about, I don't ever want to be married. I was like, I don't want to be married. It is not for me, blah, 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 blah. And then I met my husband years later, right? And when I met him, I was in my 30s. And it was just like, when you meet people, there are people that are very selfish. Right? And when you're in the dating game, the dating game is not for the faint at heart.
It's not, especially in today's market.
Yes. I was in my 30s. That was like years ago.
So years ago, now.
Nah, it's on some, I don't know what it's on, but it's on some type of drug, because this don't make no sense to me, right?
But I believe love exists. I believe love is a beautiful thing.
I do believe it exists. Now, my second marriage, I don't want to go into details about him, but I will say that he showed up in a way that I needed at that time. He showed up asking the right questions that showed me that he cared. Now, going deeper into the marriage, things really did change, but we stayed married for 13 years. And in those 13 years, I wanted to leave before then. But I also wanted to prove to myself that I wasn't the issue, and stayed in the marriage longer than I needed to. So
that was self-sacrificing.
Self-sacrificing in the name of love, or in the name of how people viewed me. That was something that I had to really sit with. Like, dang, you really stayed in that all that time because you were worried on how people would view you. Not even realizing it, like subconsciously thinking about it. And I felt like he played on that as well. And it was just like, yeah, I am the problem. because I'm the common factor in both of these marriages. But then I got to the point where I was like, you know what, fuck that. Let me be the villain in your story. I don't give a fuck what anybody has to say. I don't care what people think of me. This is not for me. This is not healthy. This is not right. We need to split. And really ending that relationship and knowing wholeheartedly that I did everything in my power to make that relationship work. You understand what I'm saying? Going to therapy, having conversations, forgiving, just communicating.
You did what you need. You did what you were supposed to do. So
when I walked away saying, I'm good.
Right.
I'm good. And it's like, now that I'm dating, I'm meeting people and I'm just like, oh, wow. I'm meeting some amazing people.
Right.
I've met people and dated people that I can say, like, man, God sent this person to me. The things that I've learned from this person has been amazing. The opportunities that have come, like, I feel like everything is like in flow. Right. But there's just this one area that I'm just like,
this is the area where you're loving you.
And it's like, I really like you, but I love me too. I really fucks with you, but I fuck with me more. Yeah. And the thing is that because I love me, this doesn't sit right with me.
And you know, it takes a lot for just you saying that out loud. There's so much power in that, because you were in a situation, in a marriage for 13 years where you were self-sacrificing yourself. So now you're at this space where you're learning to love yourself. You're realizing that I no longer want to be that version where I was self-sacrificing. Who's going to check for me? I have to check for me. I have to love for me. And if you're not showing up in the way that it is that I need you to show up, because I'm holding myself to a standard. I'm doing the thing with your self-love journey. I'm doing this thing, this journey. I'm treating myself this way because I'm holding myself to a standard. And if I'm holding myself to a standard, why do you get a pass?
I should. That part.
Why do you get a pass?
Part. Like, it's a no, and that's what we call boundaries. Another thing that came up most recently with one of my friends was that there are buffers around my boundaries before you can get to my boundary, because meaning once you get to my boundary, there's a problem.
Right.
I have to have buffers and I have to have indicators to stop you in that motion, to be like, let me stop you right here,
right,
instead of letting it snowball.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it's like exercising those tools so that people know, like, oh, she don't play that. Yeah, she don't play that. And standing on it, like on 10 toes, like, I understand that somebody else may have allowed you to behave this way, but this is not okay for me. And I don't mind losing you in the process to protect me. That if losing you is part of this thing, then I'm going to have to lose you, because in the long run, I am sacrificing myself.
And you know, and it's all in also understanding that you have a purpose here. And it's like sometimes, and I don't think if people, like, if they really understand this, if they really realize this, it's like when you're wasting people's time, like, we learn things from each other. I don't feel like we necessarily waste each other's time, because there's always something that's meant to be learned. But at the same time, if you're coming in with the intention of not necessarily doing right by somebody, this person have a purpose, a vision that was already written for them to do, and you're getting in the way of that. You don't want that type of karma.
I 100% agree with that, but I also believe that people have a lot of healing that they need to do, and they have deep-seated coping mechanisms that they use and are triggered. You know, something triggered you, something I said triggered you, or the love that I have for you triggers you, and that you don't know how to receive it, or you don't feel that you're deserving of love, and you have to go back and see why. Wow, where did she come from? How can she be with me?
Right.
That's how I feel. I know when I show up in a relationship, like, yes,
You make an impact.
yes, we are growing. We are doing better than we did before. You are going to be blessed. And that was one of the things my friend said to me. She said, anybody who gets to experience you as a friend, as a lover, as a parent, whatever, they are going to be blessed.
Right.
So now the question is for you, what are you getting? What are they bringing to the table for you? Because you're going to automatically bless them because they're in your presence, because that's who you are. But the question for you is, how are you blessing me? What are you bringing for me? And that's the question that I'm starting to ask myself as well when I'm meeting people. I'm at a point where I see, but I don't see. It's like I'm so focused on me that right now, if you come into my space and my time, like you have to, I don't know what you got to be doing to get my attention in that way, but you have to be a badass. Do you get what I'm saying? Because it's like, nah, it's about me though.
Yeah. I always tell, like, Fabi, I always tell you, you're a whole goddess out here.
I received that. I received that.
Yeah, and if you can't recognize that, you a fool.
Yeah.
It's like, especially with the work and the love that you're doing for yourself, the example that you're setting for others, you're not about to put me on reset.
Yeah.
Like, I'm on this level of the game. You're not about to have me go back on reset after I just did all this work because you want to make me forget who I am.
That part.
You want to make me forget who I am? All this work I did to get to this point?
But that's part of the journey. You know, when we talk about higher frequency, when we talk about when we come here to have this human experience,
right?
And when we're talking about being human, right? We are spiritual body as well. So when we choose to come here and we got an opportunity to come here and we chose this person, we also, our memory was wiped away in who we are and our purpose. So there are some people here that the universe sends to test you, to see if you remember who you are.
Right.
Oh, you doing all that work? Let me see if you for real. I'm gonna send. You on a diet? I'm sending that chocolate cake, decadent, rich with caramel, because that's what you like. I'm not sending you vanilla ice cream cake because you don't like that. I'm sending you
chocolate.
You like that chocolate cake. Oh, you being celibate? I'm sending 6'4" muscular dark chocolate with
out
lots.
Out of order.
You get what I'm saying? And he could write, and he could talk.
Out of order.
I'm sending you all that, but he's gonna have one thing wrong with him. He is sent here to test you in this lifetime. That cake is sent here to test you in this lifetime to see if you're ready to go to the next level. And I feel that when we're doing what we're supposed to do and we recognize it, we call it, be like, oh, I know what you are.
I know
you're a test. You know what we do? We time jump.
Yes.
We time jump. Like where you were supposed to be, if you had made that decision differently, you were going to take one step. No, you took 10 steps. And the blessings come tenfold. Like
that's it. You know what? You ever realize, like, even the example, well, you didn't give too much detail, but I know it's in one of like your episodes. Sometimes after we leave a situation, whether it's friendships, whether it's friendships, like whatever it is, whether it's a job, sometimes there are moments where we say enough is enough and we do that sacrifice. And then the next thing you know, we start getting things in order. Like that time period is that time period where we're focusing on ourselves, which is like the timeline jump. Because it's like the things that you would have did when this person was somewhat of a distraction, this job was somewhat of a distraction. Now that you're by yourself, now you're doing this focus, like you're super focused, super intentional about a direction that you're trying to go into, and it happens quickly. Though in the moment it may feel like it's taking time because you're in that moment, but in reality you're moving at a rapid rate because you're so intentional, that focus to the destination in which you're trying to go into. That's what I thought about when you said that timeline jump. Because when you think about it, when I quit corrections, it was so scary. But then I'm just thinking, where would I have been if I would have stayed there? Like, mentally, I wouldn't have been this version of me, like, right now. Like,
yeah.
I would have been like,
your higher self was whispering, like, girl, you'd quit that job.
Like, literally. Like,
that nigga. You know?
I would be in the room having conversations saying, like, okay, I know I'm 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I know I'm in a gray area and I can't operate in that gray area. I was literally aware of the fact that the grayness wasn't going to get any results. The grayness was just going to keep me where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I knew that where I was before, I didn't want to go back.
Yeah.
So because I didn't want to go back, I was like, okay, let me quit, because I don't believe that this was just it.
Yeah.
I don't believe this was the cap. I don't believe this was the highest potential. I don't believe. So I took a chance and I said, you know what? It's not for me. And so much has changed.
I was telling a friend that the other day that I had a realization, like, every time I've said, you know what, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Those moments have been so impactful for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Getting out of my scary space, getting out of the, like, it needs to be perfect, getting out of how I imagine or envision that it would look.
Right.
And it was just like, you know what? What's the best that can happen?
Right.
And being like, you know what? Fuck it. When I quit my job, girl, that fucking for me was so big, because I was the one making the most money and responsible for a lot of the bills. Mm-hmm. And looking at my family like, it's either I go crazy or I quit my job.
Right.
And guess what's not going to happen? I'm not going crazy. And I quit my job. And when I say the blessings came pouring down, like, it was like God was like, you trust me? I'm going to show you what I got for you, baby. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, blessings, girl.
Confirmation.
The blessings just came down so good, so right for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, that's how I created the whole gardening series, because my healing was in that. You know, and it's just like, yeah,
wherever your healing is in, that's where your growth comes in.
Yes.
Like, you're literally watering your garden.
Yeah.
And you can't, the garden ain't finna grow if you're not watering it.
That part.
If you're not tending to it. That's what you are. You are a whole garden.
Yes, I am. Y'all, listen, you can eat from this garden.
Yeah,
you get shade from this garden. You're blessed in the garden. Like, it is. And when I don't pour into me, guess what? Everything dies off.
And we don't want that.
And this is why self-sacrificing is no longer the standard. Like, you know what? I love you so much. Let me show you how much I love you. I'm going to give you something that is sacred for me.
No.
And it's like, stop.
And you know, even now that I mentioned the whole garden part about it, because I love that for you, because it reminds me of like when we went to, when we were at Aya Spa, and we have a mutual friend named Seven. He's an amazing photographer. But when we were at Aya Spa, he was showing me this plant, and it was from your plant, and it's like one of those things, and he took such good care of it. Yes. It was in the water, like he was appreciative of it, and what he was growing from that plant that you gave him, like, he nurtured it. You know, and when you think about all this watering that you're doing to yourself, which is this self-love journey that you're doing, which is you're watering your garden, it's like, because you're a whole garden, anybody that comes in has to water your space. They can't sit here and treat your garden like it's trash. You can't do that, because what I'm giving you is going to grow and it's going to be abundant, and I want you to nurture it like how my friend is nurturing a little plant that he took, you know, that I shared with him, and he's nurturing it, he's showing it off, he's like, look at the roots. That's how you should treat me, because I water myself on a daily. I take care of me, and that's how I need you to approach in my space. I'm a whole garden that's abundant, that bears fruit, that's going to assist you in your growth journey, because I'm doing this healing. So if you're coming here, I need you to recognize that you have to water.
Yeah, come in with respect, you know. I love that.
So I love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't have nobody coming up and they just picking fruits and they ain't watering, they ain't tending, they ain't.
Yeah, you gotta water this garden, baby, cause
period. Self-love.
But for myself, like,
yes.
And it feels so good to do that. Like, I feel that as women, for me, let me not speak for all, but, and I think it's because of my experiences and because I've been married twice, like that whole concept of the 2 kids, the dog, and the white picket fence, miss me with that.
Right.
That idea and concept that our wealth and our determination of who we are is determined by a man choosing us. No. Miss me with that. I choose me.
Half the times these men don't even recognize what they're choosing, or not even recognize what they're choosing. Half the time, I can't speak for everybody. This is not, but it's but a lot of, you have people that don't realize that they have a garden, and then you have people that do, but don't feel like they're worthy of having a garden. It's like the world is so upside down because of the fact that people are not doing the healing that's necessary.
And they'll sabotage. They'll sabotage to be like, dang, she ain't never gonna leave me. I'm gonna force her to leave me. So in that, you're like, oh, I see your potential. You're so great. Like, I see the amazing things in you. And he's like, I don't really want to be with you though.
And that's the,
I got one over on you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, no, we're not doing that anymore.
Right.
We're not doing that anymore.
And you know what? You can never get something over on somebody that's watering themselves.
Yes.
Because it's going to come to a point with that healing that I'll get tired and I'll realize you ain't watering my garden.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll stop self-sacrificing and I'll let you go for me. I love
and
that.
That's what,
I love that.
You gonna have me go home like, who's gonna self-sacrifice who?
We're not sacrificing anymore. We're not our grandmothers. We're not our moms. We're not the generations before that really sacrificed themselves for men who are out here doing a whole lot. And when we talk about our culture, the men were doing a whole lot.
A whole lot.
So I'm gonna end with that,
Okay.
Cause I was like, I'm about to go in somewhere,
and I was about to help her too,
cause we see y'all. But at the end of the day, I'm grateful that you joined me on this impromptu.
Yes, I'm happy.
You know, like came and talked with me, and we broke bread and had a real good conversation about self-love and the impacts that it really has on us, and that moving with that intention has on us and other people. Right. So thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you. And till next time, I know that you are paying attention. I know that you are writing down these activations. Yes. With that being said, peace. I'm out. Peace.